Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's been about 4 weeks since our last video. We've just been super busy and swamped. We've worked on like air suspension on a Lamborghini Gallardo, a few turbo kit setups, etc., and it's just been super busy. Today I'm going to actually see if I can give you guys some information on wheel purchases. So there's a lot of information floating around the internet, and a lot of people come to us and ask us, for a quote for the next set of wheels and things like that. And I find myself explaining the differences of the wheels a lot, so I figured this video would help you out for your future purchases, so you can make the sound decision of what kind of wheels you really want to go with. So on the internet, they're always talking about buy real wheels, right? So it makes sense. Obviously, you want to support those companies that are putting in all the R&D, creating new designs and things like that. But a lot of people are working on a budget. So when people are looking at, like, let's say, for example, Evoque TE37s, one of the most popular wheels, but you'll end up spending what, $3,500 to $4,000, depending on what kind of specs you're looking at. But you could always go with a knockoff wheel, someone that has copied the design and purchased a cheaper version of the wheel that looks the same essentially when it's spinning, or even when it's sometimes sitting still. It's hard to tell a knockoff versus the real thing, so a lot of people say, why not? I'll spend $1,200 on a set of the knockoffs versus $3,500, $3,800 on the real things. Now the problem lies with this, like morality wise. We'll throw that out the window. I mean, that's a totally different subject, because at the end of the day, it's your pocket that's doing the talking. It's your wallet that's doing the talking, right? So I've got really nothing against people that are running replicas. I personally don't like to run replicas because I do like to support the companies that are making them, but there's more to that than that. So if we divide up the different types of wheels and how they're manufactured, you could divide it up to like 3 main categories. So one, there's gravity casting, and then there's flow forming, and then there's forging. So how the price works is a fully forged wheel is going to be the most expensive, then it comes down to flow forming, and then it comes to gravity casting. All these companies that are well established, let's go back to the T37 for example, the most popular wheel from Evoque Racing worldwide. The T37s are fully forged wheels. What that means, it is a fully forged piece of aluminum. So when you think of forging, what do you think of? You think of like medieval times where they're sticking the sword into a big flame and then making sure it's all red before they start hammering on it. That's forging. So what forging does is it heats the material so hot and it pressurizes them so there is no air pockets, there's no gas pockets, and there's no weakness within the material, and it is a strong, solid piece of aluminum, metal, whatever it may be. In this case with wheels, they're aluminum. So what forged wheel does is they take a huge piece of aluminum that's been forged and cut out designs on it. What this can do is bring out the strongest wheel possible within the 3 realms of wheels there that I described earlier. And by doing so, because the material is so dense and so strong, they could cut more parts of it out, making the wheels lighter while being stronger than the other 2. So that's the price you pay, because the material, the amount of work that goes into it to actually develop the wheel, to actually produce the wheel, is a lot higher than flow forming or gravity casting. So I mean, that's why you're paying $3,800, $4,000, and sometimes depending on the brand, like if you go with 3-piece wheels, you will end up even paying $10,000 for a set of wheels. So that's where the money comes into play. That's why you're paying the price. So I'm just trying to get you to understand why they're more expensive. Okay, so let's talk about gravity casting. Gravity casting, it's exactly what it sounds like. Basically, they take a steel mold of the wheel design and pour melted aluminum into it. and when it solidifies, it becomes a wheel. The problem with this is the aluminum never spreads out to a point where it has equal strength all over the wheel. And also because it is just gravity poured, it creates gas pockets within the wheel. So you might have a gas pocket inside your spoke, inside the barrel, which, you know, obviously a naked eye can't see. You'll have to literally x-ray the thing to actually see how many air pockets it has. The problem with this is it creates a weak wheel. And because it is a weak wheel, a lot of times they can't run thinner spokes, they can't run thinner backside of the wheel, anything like that. You know, the rim itself has to be a little bit thicker than forged wheels. So in turn, it ends up becoming a heavier yet weaker wheel, especially when compared to a forged wheel. A lot of knockoff wheel companies will do this because it is a cheaper way to produce wheels. One of the reasons why you're able to get a T37 knockoff for about $1,000 or sometimes even less. I definitely don't recommend this route because at the end of the day, your wheels, tires, brakes, those things are what's really keeping you alive when you're doing 80, 90 miles an hour. Think about it. Your tire blows out at 100 miles an hour. You're going to spin out. You might actually get into an accident. So you want to have a good tire. You want to keep up to date on it. Make sure it's not worn out too much. Things like that. Your wheel. Imagine if your wheel explodes. Imagine if the spokes break. Imagine if the rim itself, the actual rim barrel itself cracks while you're doing 100 miles an hour and hit a bump. That actually could lead to death at the end of the day. Worst case. So, and without brakes, obviously, you're going to come to a stop by hitting something. So, yeah, those three things really, really, really are important in my book when you're modifying a car. So, I always shy people away from getting a knockoff wheel because of that reason. So what do you do now, right? So you still can't go and afford $4,000 or $5,000 for a set of wheels, and it's still more, it makes more sense to the pocket to buy the $1,000 set of knockoffs. Well, this is where Flowform comes in. Flowform wheels. Basically what it does is combines gravity casting with forging. Sounds a little difficult? All right, so this is what happens. So they'll design a face of the wheel, you know, how it looks and things like that. By the way, this is a Flowform wheel from Ace Flowform. So it'll end up, they'll gravity cast the face of the wheel. Okay, but the difference is this: when you gravity cast the face of the wheel for flow forming, they make sure the face is on the bottom of the gravity cast. So when you do this, when you pour it, the gravity essentially pulls all the aluminum together on the bottom where the face is, so where the spokes are. So the spokes are super strong and dense. And once that's done, they pull it out. And then they preheat treat, and then they take it to a machine which heat treats the whole barrel as it stretches the barrel out to the shape that you need, to the width that you need. By doing this, it literally is forging the wheel barrel as it's making the width happen. It's making the shape of the barrel happen. So you have the lightness and you have the strength, but it's almost half the cost of a full forged wheel. So if you look at all these mainstream brands, for example, BBS, Work Wheels, Anki Wheels, Ace Flowform, all these wheels are flow formed. Of course, they have their forged line as well, but the Flowform wheels are the most popular right now because you can pick up a Flowform wheel for anywhere from about $1,500 to about $3,000, depending on the size, width, offset, style, the brand, etc., etc. But by doing this, the wheel companies were able to bring the consumer a better priced wheel that actually is almost as strong as a fully forged wheel and is almost as light as a fully forged wheel, and doesn't have the downsides to a fully gravity casted wheel from a knockoff company. Well, thanks for tuning in today. I hope the information that I gave out today was helpful. I try not to get too technical. There's really no point in, explaining all the technical terms of everything. It's just, make it easy for people to decide what they want. If you have any other questions, if you have, wheels that you want to order, if you want to converse about what wheels you would want on your next set, feel free to give us a call. Make sure you like and subscribe the video and share with your friends. All right, thank you. We'll see you next time.